So Aymen Terkmani, the piece of shit child killer Chomo, was brutally killed in prison. In 2015, he lured a young teenager into an abandoned house where he would rape, torture, kill with a blunt object that he just beat him until he no longer was moving. Aymen tried to act like nothing happened and go on with his day. Just brutally murdered a teenager, raped the teenager, who was a boy in high school that he was 10 years older than, after luring him into an abandoned house, beating him to death, and then going on about his day acting like he's a gangster. Well, he'd eventually be caught, convicted, and sentenced to 33 years for the crime he committed. So, as we always know, you say to yourself, 33 years. This dude lured a child into a house, beat him, raped him, and got 33 years. That's the system that sentenced him. But when he goes to prison, there's a different type of system that punishes him. It's not that people have this moral standard or they think they're better. It's just there's one thing to be caught up in drugs or, be in gangs or bank robberies or drug addicted. There's another thing to hurt children. There's another thing to rape women, because there is no reason to do that. And you will never be rehabilitated. You will never change. And we can't have that. We can't have you breathing the same air. We cannot understand how a guy can commit DUI manslaughter and get less time than a guy who takes a child into a house, beats him, rapes him, kills him, and gets 33 years. Yes, DUI manslaughter is serious. However, you should get more time than a guy that drove drunk and killed somebody. You should get more time than a non-violent drug offender. So knowing you'll be out in the streets, it's going to be the friends of the victims, the family of the victims, or somebody that just fed up with seeing you motherfuckers come in there, who grew up in the system and understands how devious and evil it really is, how nobody cares. As 1 in 4 inmates have experienced some type of sexual assault, whether it's their family member or them themselves in their life, which means they've seen the system fail them and now they're living in the system. And here comes this dude who just randomly killed a kid in an abandoned house, raped him, and just thinks he's gonna get out in 25, 28 years with good time. It doesn't work like that. So on camera, somehow the guards weren't watching it, somehow his door opened, 2 inmates walked into his cell when the door accidentally clicked open and nobody was watching the cameras, and stabbed him 55 times. After he was stabbed 55 times, they walked out the cell, threw away, flushed the blades, whatever it was. They eventually found Aymen just lifeless in the cell. They threw him in the helicopter where he'd ultimately bleed out. At the end of the day, it's as simple as this. Y'all need to just leave our kids alone. I know people are so used to getting away with crimes, and there's so many parents that don't watch their kids like they should, and the system fails their kids, or people let boyfriends or girlfriends babysit their kids, and the system, the DCF, the agencies fails. You got neighbors that are doing horrific crimes because the mother or the father thinks they're good babysitters. No. What's good for you and convenient is never good for the child. You have to always put your child first. So as somebody that grew up in the system and seen how it's failed so many people, from the foster care system, sexual abuse, to my friends and family that I've seen, you think when I go to prison and I see somebody walking around like that I know probably did something similar to like a friend of mine or a family member of mine like I seen growing up, I don't think, oh, I'm gonna go to prison for the rest of my life. I think in my mind, he's never gonna go home and ever call his family again on a prison phone ever again in his life, and his last few seconds on earth is gonna be fear. Anyway, that's how it ended for him. This is for all my Australian fans. Stay out, stay free, us.